If you are struggling in your business to get your employees bought in at selling at the same rates that you do when you perform the jobs, today we're going to go over the 5 steps that, if implemented in your business, would take it to the next level in closing more customers and getting more business.
Welcome to the Premium Mindset, the weekly podcast where homegrown entrepreneurs and business owners Evan Ritchie and Cameron Bodden share the good, the bad, and the ugly of modern entrepreneurship and reveal what really happens behind the scenes of their personal and professional lives. As owners of 2 of America's fastest growing and most disruptive companies, Coconut Cleaning and Green Mango Pest Control. Stay tuned for real stories, struggles, insight, and advice from real entrepreneurs in real time.
So with that being said, you've created this. I feel like, as I've known you over the last 8 years, you've been like the cornerstone for me in developing systems that increase the odds of people succeeding more, especially in sales. And I feel like, we don't have to go into it, but I feel like the biggest one for me that I've really taken from you was the lead nurture plan, which was a very structured format in how our office can manage leads, what they do with the sales, how to increase the rate of service rate, all that stuff, right? But what it's all come down to is you take a look at, am I the highest closer? Is this person the highest closer? What are they doing? And then you've systemized this in a way that allows people to succeed at higher rates if they just stay consistent to these steps.
Yeah, so the great thing about the 1% Club is how we've had to really look at things differently. So when we think about, hey, how do we have a high close rate? So at Coconut, at Green Mango, almost all of our service companies, once the lead is contacted, from the contact to the close rate, we've always been above 80%. Yep. Well, when you dissect what it takes to close at that level, there's a lot that goes into it. And then if you want to teach someone, there's even more. And so that's what this podcast is about. That's what the playbook is about. So we call it the 50,000 door framework. So over 7 years of knocking doors, almost 6 days a week, we learned a lot. And you learned a lot. You knocked doors for multiple years. There's just a lot that you get to see, how to make connections with people, how to, sell according to their needs. We're going to break down 5 steps that will help change the game for you and change the game for your employees. Because ultimately, and Evan brought this up, you made a great point when we were preparing for the podcast that I was even I wasn't following you on at first, but we talked about, dude, in order to have your people close at a high rate, you have to close them. Yeah. And what does that look like? If you're the guy that's at your business walking around I can close at 90% and everyone else is at 70, you're almost ragging on yourself.
People are
there's
hey,
nothing cool about that.
Yeah. Let me in on the secret.
Yeah. So we're going to go over the 5 things. The first one is connection. Okay. You got to make a connection with people, and we'll dive into all of them, but connection, curiosity, a tailored value. So tailoring your services to what the customer actually needs. We're going to talk about the importance of having momentum, and then, just the close in and of itself. So when we talk about connection, I want you to talk about the story just from we just closed a franchise last week, and you talked about connection and how important it was to close this lead for us.
Yeah. So, and I like the specificity of the word connection, because I think in a world where so many entrepreneurs are scared of AI replacing, even having employees being afraid of softwares replacing them, I think the thing that will take the longest for AI to mimic is connection. It is the ability to have that human-to-human connection. And the reason why I said, hey, let me bring up this story, is we just started really, preparing ourselves for selling franchises. And we had this couple that called in that said, hey, they saw our content and they just bought a carpet cleaning van. They bought all the equipment, and this man's wife is leaving her job as a principal to go all in on this cleaning business. And then they saw our stuff and they said, we're not going to wrap, paint, we're not even going to perform a job until we at least see if coconut franchising is the way to go. Long story short, we had such a good FaceTime call, we call it discovery calls, that they immediately said, hey, we'll come out literally
taking those calls. Are you still taking them as Tanner?
I'm still, so Tanner takes them with me now. Okay. But at this point, I have all the confidence in the world in Tanner, especially with this story, is they were like, we want to come out tomorrow, the next day, whatever. And so they came out within a few days. And here's why connection was so important, is that I had so much going on and I was physically present, but I just knew that like I wasn't extremely attentive. I wasn't on my phone, but like I just wasn't all in. And this guy's like 20 years Air Force. And of course, Tanner's like, I'm a pilot. And right away, I was like, I'm just going to like sit here and like maybe have side conversations with the spouse, but they immediately hit it off. And then I just remember right after lunch, they said, hey, we're going to leave for 2 hours. We'll come back and we'll talk about next steps. And so they left, and then they came back and Tanner just said, hey, look, you guys are putting everything into this business. You're about to leave your job to go all in on it. Everything that you've said from your background and the impact you want to make on your community, Coconut's it. And I'd be remiss to let you get on a plane and leave if you didn't know that like we think you're great and we think you guys would be great franchisees. I've talked to hundreds of potential entrepreneurs in starting their own business or choosing to franchise. And what you're going to get through franchising is a systemized way in which you can increase the rate at which you succeed as an entrepreneur. It's a no-brainer to franchise with Coconut, especially if you're wanting to succeed in business in a world where everything's getting more competitive. At Coconut, we choose to elevate our game every day and every month with our leadership, our systems, and how we go about making sure that your future looks more successful. He regurgitated back to them the things that were originally most important to them in starting the business together. And then you can even say this is like a little bit of everything, but then he brought it all back and just said, look, I'm committed to your guys' success. That's literally my position here, is to make sure that you guys succeed. Your guys' biggest worry about franchising was, are these people just trying to take my money, or are they committed to our success? And you know, you talked about hunting. I want to come out and do is it called a blackout hunt, or like just basically this guy was saying, oh, you're not? No. This guy was basically saying like, hey, I just did a night hunt and they have the thermal glasses, all that. And Tanner's cool. Like, I want to come out next month and do that with you. Yeah. I got out of the way because I saw that happening, and Tanner just pulled out the paper and just said, so this is our document for you guys to be able to just start the process of franchising with us. And it was so easy for them to just be like, we're all in on this, because of one, we asked the questions for them to like share everything that is important to them. We saw a few points of Tanner connecting, and I got out of the way because of, I didn't want to like, oh, well, I also want to talk too. I saw them hitting it off, and they've been texting, doing all the things, and like, I'm not even included in the dialogue.
Oh, what's cool about that is, one, in order, in all these steps, you can talk about the importance of listening. Yep. Because in order to be a great salesman, you have to be a great listener. And in order to be a great boss, CEO, COO, whatever the title is, you have to be a great listener. You need to know where your people are. And so that we're talking about twofold here with closing. We're talking about closing the customer, but we're also talking about, and you made this point, closing your employee to be able to close at a high level, right? So that is a way to understand, hey, they had common ground in hunting, they had common ground with being in aviation and everything else that they talked about. How can you, and I want to tell this story about Cartier, of how they build connections from a company. How does the business build connections with the people so that they feel kind of obligated to use them in the way if they do it right? And so one of the things that I've talked about on Instagram a couple of times is my rep at Cartier. They know that the holidays are coming up. They're strategic, okay? They know that they're in the business of selling gifts. They're in the business of promoting their jewelry to the husbands that are always looking for a last minute gift. And naturally, and she's done an amazing job with, it didn't seem inauthentic because throughout the year, she would send a birthday text. She would send an anniversary text. She memorized these things. She has a system, I'm sure. But last month, I got this beautiful box, and the presentation was absolutely phenomenal. And I'll throw up a picture of it because I took a video of it. Like from top to bottom, it's like the boxes that we do. Cartier, nice handwritten, like a full, not just like thinking of you this holiday season, a full card, okay, like 4 or 5 paragraphs of just how you doing, following up with you, how's your kids, how's this, how's that, and then an amazing gift inside. And it was a touch point to build connection. And so if I go buy jewelry this year, who do you think I'm going to? They built that. So if you're listening to this podcast, think of different ways that you can build connection. One of the things that we do is the fall festival, right? It's, hey, come out. We're gonna
We know
give
our
you
avatar.
a platform of just everyone. Yeah, the avatar is the moms with kids, and what moms are always looking for something to do with their kids. So we're going to create a fun environment for them to come to, and it's a touch point for them to remember us. And hopefully we build that connection that, hey, Coconut's awesome, the techs are awesome, Evan's awesome, and if I have my carpets cleaned or tile, like I'm going to Coconut.
Yeah. So connecting happens at every level, and I think what you said at the beginning with, if you're that owner that you wore the hat of operator for whatever service that you were in, if you're out there providing a service at a higher level than your people, and you have, let's say, subscribed customers who stay on because you originally signed them up, at the end of the day, a lot of it's going to come down to like your ability to connect with those people. And it's not like you're name dropping owner, but your ability to connect with the customer is obviously superior to some of your employees. And so having them actually sit down with you and see different examples for how you connect with the customer, or where you're listening to and what you take from what they've said to make them feel heard, to make them feel like, oh, you've heard everything that I've said, is going to take your sales to the next level. And it sounds elementary, but you'd be surprised at how many technicians choose to bypass connection because they just want to get the service done so they can get the hours in. And I feel like even at Green Mango, I talked to some of the techs, and it's like, it'd say, hey, I want to get you upselling specialty sales. And they're like, dude, sometimes I just throw that packet in there, and like, I hope the customer doesn't come to the door. Like I have 17 stops, right? So it's like connecting is a rarity these days, where you feel like, man, that person, whatever it is, Cartier, Coconut, whatever it is, we all appreciate the people that we connect with. And there are ways that you can coach and train your people on connecting at a higher level. And it just genuinely is a great segment into the second step of curiosity, is that at the end of the day, when people feel a deep sense of connection, it generally comes from your ability to have them feel heard. But the reason why the word curiosity, at least my interpretation, is that curiosity it's a more gentle approach to wanting to understand someone's current circumstances. So let's talk twofold. Because we just recently implemented the personal, professional, and financial form that we have people fill out when they come in. Curiosity is us systemizing that form so that when people are hired on their first day, they write this form connecting with us saying, here are my hopes, goals, aspirations. Some people write down like, here are my current debts that I want to pay off. But they actually genuinely feel on their first day that like, hey, we're invested in you and we want to understand who you are and where you are up to this point. And having a sense of curiosity allows your sales experience with your employees and also the customers to go to a new level when they actually genuinely feel like you're there to resolve a problem of theirs.
Yeah. Part of being curious with the customers, like they're going to tell you what they need at the home. And also like, so let's say you're there for, if we use pest control, for example, or carpet, it doesn't matter, but like you're there for the main service, whether it's GPC or tile, cleaning, carpet, right? Yeah. And then they start talking about their allergies that year, or they start talking about, about their sofa and how old it is. Like they're telling you that like their sofa's dirty, that they need air filter, the air duct cleaning, that maybe their air filter's clean. And those are upsell opportunities for you just by listening and asking engaging questions. How long have you lived in the home for? Yeah. So that tells you a lot about like the more curious you can be. And like there's a line there kind of being a creep and asking too much, but just through flow and talking and communication, like pay attention. Don't be so involved just to get to where you want to get to.
And when we had talked prior to this, I told you guys, as we were making this, that I just gave a sales training on like, I listen to sales and I'm just blown away at how little our people use. And it's like, there's a term called commission breath. And I feel like curiosity allows your salespeople to bypass commission breath because they get the same outcome of acquiring a new customer, closing a deal, but it's done in a way that the customer feels heard. Like, for example, there was a sale that I was listening to where this lady was like clearly flustered during the walkthrough. She's like, oh, my dog keeps peeing and it's just obnoxious. So I just need you. I got family coming over. I just need you guys to take care of it. And the tech goes, okay, did they go over pricing for urine? And I'm like, oh my gosh. And literally I had the people listen and they're like, what was missed? I'm like,
dang.
Oh my gosh. Like, is this a new dog? Oh, is this an older dog that's on its way out?
That's
like,
funny you say that because I'm like, why are they talking about pricing? They don't care what it is. Get into it and roll over it, bro.
Right. So that's another great point though. But I think that even leads up to like, if they just actually were curious about like, oh, what's going on with the dog? We don't know. The dog has an infection. It's a frustrating time right now. It's like, now I'm getting more that helps me understand their current circumstances. And then even on the aspect of family coming over, it's like they're telling me that they care a lot about aesthetics and the feel of the home versus like going into Tommy's house where I pointed out his air filter, his air purifier, and he was so excited to be like, that's like the Nimbus 2000 of air purifiers. Like that's is a very expensive purifier. But like I tell our guys, when you see these things, and I have pictures of air purifiers, that's people telling you that we care about allergies, allergens in the home, and we want our home clean. So when you start actually taking care, you got the Lenovo purifier. Yeah, I have one in every room. My daughter has bad allergies. Okay, so when we're just cleaning carpet, do you know that everything that makes your carpet dirty is also on your upholstery? It's on your area rugs as well. So I know that you want the carpets clean. We're going to get that done today. We also have this coconut club that allows you to get the same outcome that you're getting for carpet, but it's going to take the home hygiene feel to a whole new level because we're removing so much more dirt, dust, dander from all the other living surfaces where it's just residing.
Yeah. One of my biggest frustrations with owners and employees is giving a feature that you do with it being like irrelevant.
Yep.
It'd be like pitching the spot and spill treatment to someone that doesn't have a dog.
Yep.
Like chances of a human peeing on the carpet, like, are very low. Like, why are we pitching them on that? Focus on something else. And then when we're talking about business, it's tailoring it to your people. Yep. So there was a time there for 2 years, like we were buying more CRF 110s than like anyone else. We kept buying out the motorsports park there, whatever. Like, what was it called? On the freeway right there.
I know you're asking me. That's why I'm spacing the huge.
It's my favorite
building.
store, man.
Right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite, but I like it.
Shout out Right Now.
Right, shout out Right Now. Sponsorship. Can you put it at the bottom? Anyways, like, we knew our people loved pit bikes. So we were doing incentives every single month, it felt like, for a new 110. And people loved that. Customers are the same. When you go to the house, what are they talking about? One of our biggest lead sources at Green Mango for a long time was John Jay and Rich. People would get on and they would riff about how they were listening to the show that morning about John Jay and Rich, and they talk about like the second date update or whatever was happening, and the salesman would be like, all right, so you want us to come out? It's like, find common ground, right? Like, what is it that they talked about that made it spark that you need us? Was it spiders? Was it scorpions? Was it ticks? Because John Jay talks a lot about Love Pup and all of his dogs. Like, what was it? Like, figure it out and go pitch him on that one thing. You don't need to rattle off all your features just because you have them. Speak to what matters. And that's the whole point of what we're talking about today. With your people will run through brick walls for you as long as they're motivated with what matters. I always thought that everyone loved the dunes and helicopter rides, and so I was doing a lot of incentives for those. Turns out there's a lot of people scared of helicopters and not many people love the dunes. Yep. So like the very thing that I think I'm like, sacrificing so much to bring them out to, it's so much work to go to the dunes, it's so much money to run the helicopter, people don't even care about it. Yep. How many people are out there, how many business owners are talking about incentives that their team doesn't even care if they win? Yep. Right? Same thing with your customers. When they call in, make sure we're being curious, make sure we're tailoring the service to what they're actually calling in for. And it comes with the sources. If someone calls in from an influencer, like a big part of it is probably the look of the home and maybe less to do with the aesthetics of it, as far as like Maybe they don't care about the air purification, but they want it to look clean. So they want the sofa treated and they want their entryway, but they don't care about the kids' bedrooms. Like little things like that, paying attention to trends and understanding that is important. But also from a business owner standpoint, you need to do a lot of that work because your company's not going to figure out those trends for you. Yeah. Like you need, hey guys, here's our top 10 objections. Here's our top reasons why people call in. Here's how we connect. Here's 3 or 4 ideas for each reason of why, or examples that you can give and how you can connect with people.
Yeah. So connection, curiosity, and we've kind of overlap. Like the Olympic rings, a lot of these steps, there's overlap, right? So when you're being curious, that allows you to get set up for tailoring value, right? Because you said you hate it when you're sitting there telling someone, like we went to Buck and Ryder the other day, and on their little receipt, they can see how many times you've been, so they print out. Yeah. So if like you make a reservation, I guess. So Kate and all of her history going there, they're like, oh my gosh, like 27 times that you've been to Buck and Ryder. Thank you so much. So cool. On the and they literally just started going over the menu. And I'm like, we already know what we're getting. We know what we want.
They're like, congratulations. My boss told me to say we've been here 27 times, but let me go back to the script.
Literally, like, so what we have right here is we have our new oysters, and it wasn't like a big deal, but it was like oysters? 3 minutes. No, stop. It was cool, like, man. You know,
caviar.
We're sharing a Diet Coke, okay? But it was the point of like, hey, we've been here 27 times. They're like, so let me go over the menu with you. I'm like, it wasn't annoying. I was just like, okay, we're ready to go. We know that drinks, appetizer, and we know we're getting exactly for what we're eating. So all that coming together as far as like, hey, if you have all these services that you offer, make sure your salespeople they have little ways to segment what people value and appreciate as far as the original headaches that you wanted to alleviate in your business, and what services connecting those two, which leads us into how do you create momentum. And I think we're kind of getting above the customer sale now. You can go into like the close, or at least using momentum in terms of giveaways and stuff like that. But I feel like the biggest way that we've created momentum in saying, guys, we value and appreciate sales, upsales, high job average. Most importantly, as long as those are correlating with happy 5-star review customers, we've systemized the importance of sales performance in competitions and sales spoofs, because you mentioned the 110s. I have never been on a 110, and you were like, oh, I guarantee these guys would like it. I'm like, I'll ask them. And I'm like, Cameron, I think they want some cash. They literally bypass $3,500 to $4,000 commissions to get the 110, right? So that is the same thing as knowing where they're at in their life and offering something to them of value in exchange for, effort, labor, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm high on quarterly planning right now just because we're talking a lot about it at 1% Club, and a lot of business owners don't plan on 90-day cycles like big businesses do. And so, I mean, talk about the Masters for a minute and what that competition is and what the incentive is. And I'd even go to say, like, you need to have something at least once a quarter that your whole team can fight for, because the year's long and the years blend together. And what I like about the Masters is it's something to get people excited about every single year. And you can do that each quarter within your business. So if you do that, just 4 incentives, like take the time right now, might take 2 weeks, but take the time to create your 4 incentives that you're going to do each quarter this year, and correlate it with the seasons of what's important. Go figure out what they want and use that as a tool to close at a high rate with your people so that they close a high rate with, your leads.
Please check with your CFOs or financial planner. But the quick rule of thumb is that we said, hey, what is the perceived value that we're going to get from running the competition? We believed it was going to be a jump in the job average. And so our CFO gave us a general framework to take 10% of what you believe you'll accomplish, and that's what you can give away, right? So ours was $3,500 a quarter, because we believe we were going to bring in an extra, $35,000 in, but we were way off because it added a lot more than that. And so the Masters, right? People want quick rewards. And I felt like we found a way to give them the quick, but also to keep their eye focused, to increase retention, and to help them understand what we value most. And it was this idea of, gold jacket, green jacket.
Who gives up?
Right. So it's like quarterly qualifier. Every week, a technician's facing another technician. And those are displayed on the TV around the office. This tech is going against this guy. And so they're competing. And then the top 4 technicians every quarter compete in the second to last week. And then the top 2 guys from that compete in the last week of every quarter. The winning technician gets a golden ticket into the Masters at the end of the year and $3,500, right? It gives the quick dopamine hits. Here's what's great is that if you have a commission plan that rewards them along the way as they increase productivity, even if they don't win, you can also show them scorecards for how they made $12,000, $10,000, $4,000 more dollars than they did in the previous quarter just with their productivity, okay? So you do the 4 quarterly qualifiers, and then at the Masters at the end of the year, the top 4 qualified guys compete for Masters champion, and then we have the Masters wall. So when you get hired at Coconut, immediately to the left when you walk in, there's the Masters wall. And it has our previous champions, and it has a blank spot at the top on purpose for them to envision themselves as becoming the Masters champion. And that has increased, in our humble opinion, it was responsible for increasing $1.5 million in revenue, because it was in 2022, we went from we went from $2.4 million to $4.2 million with no additional changes, no price changes, just our approach in getting these guys incentivized for it.
I mean, you went over that really fast, like not in a bad way, but I just hope that if you're in your car and you're listening to this podcast, like you go back and you rewind and you listen to what Evan just talked about, because you don't have to copy the Masters. You can if you want, whatever, but like go create your version of this that hits all the buckets. It hits the dopamine like you talked about, has the long-term like quarterly reset dopamine, and then it's a ticket to go fight for the end, which is the last quarter of the year, and it's happening right now at Coconut, which is so cool.
It's how we keep top guys too, because if you get qualified
you
in the first quarter, you're not leaving.
Yeah.
You're not leaving.
So I love that, man. I want to, sometimes, we get a lot of DMs and comments about, hey, can you expand more? Can you kind of break it down? And so I want to talk a little bit about it. Let's say I got 5 technicians or 5 salesmen or 5 employees, whatever it might be. And we're talking about tailoring the value to them. One of the most important things that Coconut does is the morning huddles, right? It's the morning role plays. You have to be able to rattle off, hey, here's the objection, or hey, this is a boater, this is a Harley guy, this is a sports junkie. How are you going to make this connection with these guys, and what do they typically care about? A male, and I don't know all the stats around Coconut, but I guarantee like the males probably don't care much about like the height or the air quality, but they might care about the hygiene of like the couch.
They want the brownie points for like, oh, I took this off my wife's plate.
Yeah, so just if you come to it, so what's your approach really quick? If you came to my house and you talked to me, what are you focusing on? As far as upsells?
There,
yeah, I'm there as a male.
So Alyssa set this up. So generally what happens, it's perfect, is that Alyssa set it up, you're the one home supervising. Mm-hmm. So Cameron, can you tell me a time where you've had a service company just impress your wife, where you've been able to have them come in more often to make her more happy? Yep, I hired this window clean. It happened. Okay, cool. So at Coconut, our goal is to help you take things off your wife's plate that are important to her, that ultimately get you a cleaner and happier home, which if she's happier, I'm sure you'd be happier, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's our Coconut Club. So what our club is going to allow us to do, it's going to get the same outcome that she's trying to have today, but it's going to allow us to have that quarterly, so it's done more often, and you get today's cleaning essentially for the price of what you're paying today.
So your approach is, hey, let's make you look like the hero.
Yes.
With the female answering the door, what's your approach?
So for us, it's the weirdest thing, but the females that call Coconut, they always have a wad of cash. I don't get it. Don't get it. But for the female, our main approach is like keep
the cash.
Keeping up with the Joneses. Like,
yeah, okay.
Like that's generally what it is. It's like, hey, you wanted this to get done, great. oh my gosh, like, did you pick out the rug to go with the portraits, to go with the couch? Yep, I designed the whole thing. Great. So I think we both know how, frustrating it can be when you finally just say, I have to toss the rug, and now you have to change the whole room because you didn't maintain the rug. So my goal today is what you've already invested in as far as the couch, the area rug, the overall feel. I want to help you maintain it as long as possible so you don't have to go through more of those decisions.
Yeah. And if I went to the typical salesman, would they know how to approach it differently? Would they have different approaches with a male versus a female?
I would say on average at this point, I'm pretty confident that they know how to approach each demographic, but maybe a small variance. But overall, they know, like, hey, the guy, make him the hero. You want the lady being taken care of, and you want to win her over. You're going to get her the most for that dollar that she's spending, and then you're going to point out what she's invested in as far as the aesthetic.
And that's what I want to point out to those people that are listening right now. You can't assume that your people know. Like, you, as the CEO, it's your responsibility to go lay out these scenarios and let you know, hey, this is what's happening. This is how we talk to this demographic. These are the things that we bring up, and this is how we tailor our service to them. Okay. The momentum. When we talk more about momentum and just the creating of the incentives for employees, what else have you seen besides the masters, besides maybe customer appreciation or like value add for signing up? Like, is there anything else there on momentum to talk about?
I think you taught me this very well. Whenever you needed like an immediate result at Green Mango, like a bigger push, right? Like, let's make sure that we have 99% completion versus 96, because for you, every percent meant $100,000. You're like, this person's really leading the charge. Where they at? I'm like, dude, actually, no, they're shopping around for golf clubs. Like, cool. Tell them that we'll take them to a golf store and let them pick any set of clubs if they hit this next week. So don't undervalue the small, like, that's a little bit bigger than what I'd say, like you really taught me, which was like the pair of shoes, the date night, dinner gift card to Mastro's, things like that. So even if you have the competition, getting to somebody who's in a slump, which this highlight, guys, if you haven't noticed by now, because we hear from the editing team that you're talking about systems, all this comes together as a system, from one-on-ones to the PPF forums that you have people sign up, to quarterly competitions, all of it. It all comes together to the individual. The individual is all that matters to you, and that's the customer and that's the employee. And how you serve the customer is going to be different to how you serve the employee. And so when you have that momentum that we're talking about, how you keep momentum with people is that sometimes it doesn't even look like dangling a carrot in front of them, but you find out that they're late on a payment on their car. And let's not, negate that, like, you can be charitable, and this isn't about always dangling a carrot in front of struggling people. But let's say that you don't run a charity, which you don't, but you also need people to move the needle. You could say, hey, look, I heard you're falling on some hard times. I want to help. Your close rate has normally been 20%. If you can get 27% over the next week, I'll make that car payment for you. The little things that I felt like you were always trying to be aware of in the individual roles of leaders and knowing where they're at, whether it was just helping them out, whether it was cash-based, or whether it was like paying for a full week of PTO for them to go on vacation. Like, if I told you, like, hey, this person has PTO, or this person doesn't have PTO, but they're going on a vacation that they're paying for, but then you'd be like, hey, how they leave in 2 weeks? Hey, let's do, like, if they hit this before they leave, we'll pay for that week off. So the little dopamine hits that are tailored to the individual employees go a long way. I have a current guy who's going to a festival this weekend, and he's like, I want to smell good. What cologne could I go buy? I'm like, you hit more than $2,500 average between the 2 days.
I already know it here. Yeah, he already hit it.
Yeah. Just his first job, he's at $900. It's like he never does that. So momentum comes when you understand what's important to your people, and you can tailor what it is that's important to them at scale.
The last one that we're going to talk about is closing the customer.
Yep.
And in order to close at a high rate, like, there's a reason why a lot of entrepreneurs close at a high rate. And it's because they truly believe in their product.
Yep.
Period. So the number one goal that you need to have as an entrepreneur is, how do I create this testimony for my employees that come and work for me, that they believe in the product so much that they're going to sell it like I do? How do you do that? I think a lot of it is allowing them to question the why behind why you do anything.
Yep.
Why is coconut? Why do we buy this? Why do we buy that? Why do we have this product? It's going out and servicing the home. We're a huge advocate of having all CSRs go out and see a service.
Yep.
When a CSR says, hey, we are the best, this guy is the best, they need to see it. They can't just be told that. You as the business owner know that you're the best because you've worked in every position of the business. You've seen other industries, what they do great and what they don't do so well. Like, you need to have your people go experience that. And I think a lot of people underestimate the value of creating this mindset with your employees. And then it translates over to the mindset of the consumer. And Green Mango and Coconut has done an amazing job at this, where we almost brainwash the customer into believing what we want them to believe. And that is that we are a premium service and there's no one that can touch us. We do that through social proof, through our Instagram, through our influencers. We do that through our own page on Instagram. We spend a lot of money on our leave behind folders, who reinforces who we are with quality pictures, with the messages that we do. We do drip campaigns. Like, we do so much from the consumer standpoint to the employee standpoint that remind them and help them build a testimony of who we are. Like, we're educating consistently everyone within our circle so that they can continue to get to where we are. And that is like, dude, there's literally no one better.
I would say, like, everything you said is one on point, but it just highlights that if steps 1 through 4 don't yield number 5, like, steps 1 through 4 need to be changed. They need to be altered in how you go about it, right? How many times have we gone on the phone and I was going to try to save an employee, or you were going to do this deal or buy this building, whatever, and it's all like, I called you, I forget, like last week or two, about all these buildings that we're looking at. And it's like, at the end of the day, as a business owner, you have to just care about results. Mm-hmm. And we all have the friend that says, oh, I did this, I did that. Whether they're like talking to a girl and you're like, oh, like, you guys going on a date? It's like, well, no. It's like, okay, so you didn't close, right? Or someone's like, I talked about a technician that I have where, like, literally every customer loves him, right? Where his sales took off is when he stopped overvaluing every customer, baking him cookies and giving him a little dinner plate on the way out. Because he's like, guys, do you guys get this? Mike, your close rate's 5%. Everyone else is around 25%.
On the Coconut Club.
Yeah. So, like, what is your connecting yielding, right?
Yeah.
So, like, connecting can go too far where you're a little too buddy, and now they're not, like, thinking of you as like, hey, I'm here to do a deal. And so closing is the ultimate measure of how well you're doing steps 1 through 4. And what it looks like for you and your business is acquiring new customer or increasing the rate at which your customers are going to use you more through referrals themselves, whatever. And so what I would say to, all the entrepreneurs out there, like, I just want to, like, get my guys to close more. Go back to step 1, write down and systemize a way for them to connect better and to use that connection to be, generally the connecting is done through curiosity and asking questions and having people expound on what it is that's important to them. And then taking that right into tailoring the value. So you then connect what their interests are to what things that you could provide. And then you build momentum around what's important. And it's all measured into closing. Are your people leaving? Are they quitting? Are they staying? Are your people closing the subscriptions you want them? Are they closing at the job average? All those things can be tailored, or all of them can be manipulated by going through steps 1 through 4 and evaluating each individual person's performance and saying, you're great at connecting. You talk way too much. Ask more questions. Here's what questions could look like. This is a very simple step-by-step program for you to increase the rate at which you close your customers, increase the value of your business, and ultimately retain your employees through having a bigger and better business that has more customers.
If you guys want a more in-depth look on what this playbook looks like, we're going to drop it in the 1% Club. Check out hypefarm.com. We're excited to see you in there. Yeah, so we talked about a lot today. We gave you guys 5 principles to focus on in order to close at a higher rate with your employees, but also with your customers. And so here's what I want you to do. Don't get overwhelmed. I want you to go choose 1 to 2 things that you can focus on within the next 2 months. Go nail those 2 things, and then go take the other 3 and go nail them the following months after that. But don't Don't be those people that just listen to this podcast, like, yeah, I want to do that, and then don't go do anything with it. Because if you just master one of these things, your close rate will increase, and that's what we promise you. So if you like this video, click the subscribe button, click the like button, share with someone, another business owner that you feel like could benefit from this. We want to continue to educate you and educate all the business owners out there.